What's up, guys? Welcome back to one more episode of Mentor Talk with me, Kashyap Karnala. Now, I've been sharing about what happens in this investor and startup pitch situations. So I've been telling you about what are different types of startups that we get to meet. So I just recently got to see a very brilliant video which explains the same concept. I want you to watch it so that you can understand what is the expectation. Now, after you watch the video, I'm going to share more about what I think about this situation, about startups and investors. Okay, now you can see the screen.
Thank you. I think it's great too.
Let me make it full screen, just a moment.
Can you give me a quick overview of the company?
Sure. You sent us NDA first.
Tell me about your competition.
We are the Uber of our industry. We don't have any competition.
How many users do you have? Not many, but we don't like competition. What metric do you like?
We don't like metrics.
Well, tell me about where you're at with this technology.
Steve Jobs, whatever, said it's a faith, not in the technology, but it's a faith.
Oh, tell me about your technology team then.
That's easy. We outsource technology. Best team.
What's the revenue?
We prefer to chase the vision, not the money. But you tell us what you think makes sense.
Well, tell me what your users want.
What would you say if I told you we tell our users what they want?
I'd say that's a big mistake.
Example.
How'd you arrive at this $100 million valuation?
It's the same valuation that I last one.
Okay, but how did you come up with that?
We did. It's the same valuation as our competitor.
You say in your presentation that you're growing at 100%. Can you give me some details about that?
That information is confidential. I have to say, this is our best meeting so far. Can we expect a term sheet by end of business tomorrow?
Crushed in the chair.
Oh my God! Let's go, got this.
One second. Right. So you saw exactly how this interaction between an investor and a startup happens. Now the whole point is there is enough money available. And now in this conversation, you saw how the startups are coming up with so much expectations, and and maybe they're not ready to take the money because there's enough money available in the market. There are enough investors who want to help you grow, but is your business ready to get those funds? That is going to be a challenge, right? So and lot of lessons that we can learn from that video is like a lot of people say I am going to be the next Uber, and there's no competition in this field. Now those are all big red flags because there is no field which doesn't have a competition yet. There is a competition, perhaps not directly in the way that is the way they're doing it. Maybe they're not even aware. Maybe you never know how somebody from China or some Singapore or in Israel, he might be working on the same idea, and if it's not yet published on Google, how do you know that that competition doesn't exist per se, isn't it? So competition doesn't exist is a big big red flag when you say there's no competition. And I understand the passion of the startup founders when they say we're going to be the next Uber. Fair enough, but is there a strategy? Is there a plan? Is there a traction? You want to show all those things to claim that you will be an Uber. Just because you have an idea, just because you have a vague idea and you think it is going to make, doesn't mean that other person also will understand eventually that this is going to be that big idea, right? So and also there is a startups come from an expectation zone. They have these expectations, and there is a pitch. When this pitch is happening, there is an investor who's looking at this thing. Now startups come with a lot of big valuations without much logic behind it. And that is one of the reasons why people come up with whatever valuations, because there is a competition who is a Uber or a Ola, and compared to that I am so much, doesn't make sense. Your valuations are not defined like that. So you want to understand about when you're working on your startup, you want to understand what is exactly a right valuation that you can pitch, and keep your expectations right, because yes, your idea might become big, but because you believe that the idea is going to grow big, doesn't mean that the investor also will risk his money. Yes, people put money on the people, but it is not on the imaginary expectation that someday you will be a 100 crore company or a 200 crore company, and therefore your valuation is so much today. It doesn't work like that, right? So saying that, I want to recap about what all we so in this episode we saw very humorous interaction between a startup and an investor. Typically an investor, this is a typical conversation that happens, and startups want to close it. And one more, as I said, OPM is a very common thing. People want to get other people's money and they want to grow on top of it. Fair enough, yes, but you want to qualify yourself, you want to grow to that point, and then you want to raise other people's money. So saying that, I end this episode. And so one more thing what to discuss is about also, Yolanda, about what are the red flags when you say I'm going to be the most next unicorn and all that. There's no competition, for example. There are red flags. You want to be clear about who is your competition. You want to see what is your unique selling point, why you, right? From that is where the selling can be efficient. So saying that, I end this episode. If you have any comments, I'll be happy to listen to your comments. You can leave your comments below. And until next time, have fun and take care.